So I think it's time to finally talk about Mollie, the Rising Vault Tackler's respected doctor and a valuable member of the crew. I feel we haven't had much from her in a long time, so why is that? And where will her story go? Let's talk about it. Mollie was introduced in the very first episode of Pokémon Horizons, and since then she is always around. She is a member of the Rising Vault Tacklers and she is aboard the ship, sharing along in these adventures with the other members. When we first got all the characters announced, she was literally the character I was most interested in, simply because she looks like Nurse Joy, and because she's a doctor. I felt like there's so much story here to tell. We've never had a main character associated with Nurse Joy amongst the main cast. We've seen character of the days when Nurse Joys have families and all of this stuff, but having someone like Mollie aboard the ship was a huge deal, and it was a real exciting prospect. But as we're coming to the end of the third arc, I have to say I've been pretty disappointed. Mollie is the least developed Rising Vault Tackler. Really all the other members have had more screen time and more spotlight, and most importantly all of them have had their backstory in some sort of sense. Murdoch had his past in Galar with Mitchell, Orla played a part in Freed's backstory, then even her own development in episode 29, and then there's Ludlow. Well, this dude is Mighty G, so what can I say? But Mollie feels a little left out at this point. She hasn't had a backstory, even when so early on it was hinted at. We saw her on the phone to her family, seemingly having an argument pretty early on in the series. We had the moment where she refused to go into the Pokemon Center, and then we had the fantastic episode where she accompanied Liko and the others to Our Believer's Forest. And in my opinion, she made that arc so much better. Hearing about the pressures that she was under to stay and stick around in the family business. I mean, she's clearly a Nurse Joy, she clearly comes from a branch of a Joy family, and from pieces we can gather she left home to go and be an outdoors doctor. She tells Liko she feels bad for the Pokemon that can't make it to the Pokemon Center. She wants to travel to them so they can all get help. She kinda reminds me of that one Nurse Joy from the Orange Islands who would travel from island to island to give help to wild Pokemon. She has a real similar mindset. So we kind of know her deal, but it hasn't been fully fleshed out yet, and I'm slightly worried that it might not be. Sure, we have plenty of time to do this, but it's worrying that every other member of the crew has had some sort of backstory, where the screen gets smaller, where we get the iconic 2 black bars and we know that we're in for a great backstory. Mollie just hasn't had that yet. Mollie really hasn't done that much since Our Believer's Forest. She had an episode with a wild Tandem-mouse, which was an episode I didn't like that much, but every aspect of that episode that I liked was because of Mollie. She is a fantastic character, and I just don't think she's been given enough yet. A doctor on the main cast is such a great opportunity to tell unique stories we've never seen before. We've never had a doctor as a main character. We had Brock, who was training to be one and always played that role, and I found the episodes where Brock was doctoring some of the most unique. So just let Mollie do her thing and I'm sure we'll get some banger episodes. Of course, the main excuse is that this third arc hasn't featured the Rising Vault Tacklers too much. We've seen bits of Freed and Murdoch, but not so much the others. So I am hoping the fourth arc, where we set sail on the brave Asagi once again, will give us some well needed development for Mollie. And not just Mollie, but all of the crew who we've been missing. Give them all some episodes to shine. I think there is some massive potential for Mollie's backstory to be great. We could see her return home to her family, the family of Joys, and have some sort of central conflict of her family wanting her to return full time. There's just a lot that they could do. But for now, I would just like to see her grow into her own a bit more, become more of a fleshed out character, because it is getting to that point where she's just a background character and she doesn't really do that much. The only Pokemon she owns at the minute is Chansey, which of course is perfect, but who knows, maybe she could catch herself another one of the many Nurse Joy helper Pokemon. But overall, I just want to see some great story being told with this character. She has so much potential here. The Rising Vault Tacklers as a whole are just such a bunch of lovable goofballs, and they all have so many interesting traits. Horizons has really cooked up a special cast of characters, but you need to keep them all relevant and make sure they are all getting development. But that's it for this one. Let me know what you think about Mollie. How would you like her story to go? Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.